Did you steal my project? I asked in a strained voice. Steal? That's an awful way to put it. I just made sure the right person took charge of it, she said without a hint of guilt. Her tone made it sound like the most natural thing in the world. Just moments ago, Jason, our manager, had announced a major project. It was a project I had painstakingly developed over the past 6 months. But my name wasn't listed as the one in charge. It had been taken by my own girlfriend. Don't worry. I'll make sure the project is a success. All you need to do is watch over it from a place more suited to you. Not only had she taken my project, but I was also framed and demoted to a rural branch. However, this very incident would mark the beginning of my comeback story. My name is Sean. I work at the headquarters of the product development department in a moderately well-known food company. It's been 6 years since I joined the company. I haven't been promoted yet, but I believe I've made a decent contribution to our success. All right. It's finally done. I stretched my arms wide as I completed the proposal. This project was my lifeline as an employee. Naming it my greatest achievement would not be an exaggeration. The project focused on developing lunch meals using traditional vegetables. Convincing Henry, the farmer, to collaborate had been a monumental challenge. Although he sold his vegetables to local restaurants, he had a strict policy of never partnering with nationwide corporations. I had been turned down countless times before. Over the course of 6 months, I visited him repeatedly, explaining the purpose of the project and demonstrating my passion until he finally agreed. Sean, I gave in to your persistence, Henry had said with a wry smile, suggesting I might have worn him down. As I reminisced about the hardships of the past 6 months and Henry's dedication to farming, I couldn't help but feel deeply moved. Good work. Did you finish the proposal? It was Natalie who spoke. My girlfriend of 2 years. Her polished looks made her quite popular among men. Because Natalie insisted on keeping our relationship a secret to avoid gossip, no one at work knew about us. I had decided to propose to her if this project succeeded. Yeah, I finally finished it. Everyone's going to be blown away when they see it tomorrow. Thinking about tomorrow's meeting made me grin. Don't let your guard down. By the way, is the proposal saved on that USB drive? Huh? Oh yeah, it is. You better not lose it. You can be pretty careless, Sean. Right. I'll put it in my bag right now. Natalie was always looking out for me like this. I imagined her as my future wife, still supporting me just like she did now, and my grin grew even wider. Hey, how about we grab dinner after this? What? Oh. Of course. Good. I'll be waiting outside when you're done with work. Even though she spoke in a low voice only I could hear, it was rare for Natalie to say something like that in front of our coworkers. Could it mean she was ready to make our relationship public? If that's how she felt, then my proposal might actually succeed. As I basked in this hopeful thought, Natalie quietly watched me with an unreadable expression. The next day. I had drunk more than usual last night. I remembered Natalie taking care of me and bringing me home, but when I woke up, it was already morning, and I had to rush to work in a panic. I looked around for Natalie to thank her for helping me, but she was nowhere to be seen. She's not here yet. Oh well. I'll just focus on the meeting for now. Shaking off my unease, I plugged the USB drive into my computer. Yesterday, I planned to review the proposal I had completed to do a final check, but... What? It's gone. Why? It's nowhere to be found. No matter how much I searched the memory, the proposal was nowhere to be found. Thinking I might have saved it on another USB drive, I checked my other drives, but they were also empty. If I don't do something, it'll be time for the meeting. What do I do? The meeting was scheduled to start right after the morning assembly, first thing in the morning. There was no way I could recreate the entire proposal in time. Before I could figure out a solution, the morning assembly began. After the assembly, I decided to approach Jason, our manager, to explain the situation and ask if we could delay the meeting. I understand your frustration, but we can't postpone it. Let's look forward to your next project. As expected, his response was a firm no. It was my own carelessness, but how could I possibly explain this to Henry, who had kindly approved it? Feeling utterly dejected, I headed to the meeting room. The room was unusually lively. This seals it, Natalie's project is the winner. Clap, clap, clap. Applause filled the room as Natalie stood at the center of attention. But I couldn't bring myself to join in. Because the project Natalie was presenting was Natalie. What's going on? I chased after her as she left the meeting room. She turned to me with a look of irritation and pushed me into an empty room nearby. Don't call my name so loudly. What if someone starts getting suspicious? She slammed the file she was holding onto the table and ran her fingers through her long hair. That doesn't matter. What's more important is the project. It's my project now. Stop making baseless accusations, would you? Her cold, dismissive tone made her seem like a completely different person from the Natalie I knew. The project she had just presented was the very one I had finished yesterday. But instead of my name, hers was listed as the creator. Did you steal my project? I asked in a choked voice. Steal? That's such a harsh word. I simply made sure it went to the person best suited for the job. She says it without a hint of remorse. Her tone makes it sound as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I even warned you not to lose something so important, didn't I? But you let your guard down and got drunk. This is on you. Wait. Are you telling me that you invited me out last night just for this? Who knows? She spat out the words without even looking at me, her indifference making me feel dizzy. Was this really Natalie? Even after what she had done, memories of the kind, supportive Natalie I knew kept flashing through my mind. Don't worry. I'll make sure the project is a success. All you need to do is watch from the sidelines. From somewhere that suits you better. Betrayed by the person I loved and robbed of the project I poured my heart into. I was too stunned to say anything. She whispered in my ear, laughing at my stunned expression. Then, the next moment, she screamed, "Help me! Somebody, help!" Hearing Natalie's loud cry, people rushed over to see what was going on. Help! He tried to force himself on me. Are you okay? What the hell did you do to her? I didn't do anything. Before I could understand what was happening, I was restrained. As I was dragged out of the room, I caught a glimpse of Natalie surrounded by female colleagues, crying. At some point, her blouse had come undone. Afterward, I was accused of sexually harassing Natalie. No matter how much I denied it, no one believed me. The next day, Jason called me into his office. I'm disappointed in you. I thought you were a respectable man. But Jason, I swear I didn't. I don't need excuses. You've been reassigned. Surely, you have no reason to refuse. Under the weight of his authority, I could do nothing but nod. Natalie has also expressed that she doesn't want this incident to escalate any further. You should be grateful for her mercy. Mercy? It was all her doing. But there was no room for me to argue or prove my innocence. I packed up my belongings and left the company. That's how I ended up transferred to a rural branch office surrounded by nature. Normally, a place like this would make me want to take a deep breath and relax, but I wasn't in that kind of mood. I had been here once before, as a junior employee accompanying a senior on a business trip. After greeting the branch manager, Cole, and the department head, David, I introduced myself to my new team. Hi, I'm Sean, transferred from headquarters. I look forward to working with you. Sean, I'm sure things will feel different from headquarters, but do your best. Everyone, make sure to help him out. Let's have a great day. And so began my new life in this quiet town. Hey, is that the guy? He doesn't seem like it, but I often caught glimpses of people whispering about me while stealing glances from a distance. They spoke to me just enough to get the job done, but as soon as the conversation ended, they quickly excused themselves. It was clear I was being avoided. Sigh. I let out a deep breath, standing alone on the rooftop. A week had passed since I arrived, and nothing had changed. At first, I made an effort to improve my relationships with my coworkers, but their attitudes remained the same. Eventually, I gave up. As long as I could do my work, I figured maintaining the status quo was fine. But there was one person who didn't seem to care about the unspoken rules. Sean. Let's have lunch together. Here we go again. It was Fiona, the ever-smiling woman who approached me cheerfully. With her bright personality, she was loved by everyone, regardless of age or gender. She is always surrounded by people, and laughter never seems to fade around her. It's the complete opposite of how things are for me right now. Yet for some reason, she was determined to interact with me. Oh, sandwiches today. Ham sandwiches are the best. I totally get it. I didn't say anything. Even when I stayed silent, she kept talking. Recently, she had made it a habit to sit next to me during lunch breaks. Let's dig in. Saying that, she puts her hands together briefly before starting to eat her lunch. She always had a homemade lunch. For a modern young woman, it was surprisingly simple, yet it had a nostalgic warmth that made it look delicious. Do you want some, Sean? Go ahead, take your pick. I had apparently been staring intently at her lunch. Noticing my gaze, Fiona offered her lunch toward me. No, that's not what I meant. Sorry. I gently pushed the lunch back toward her. Ah, no need to be shy. My grandma makes amazing lunches. With a disappointed look, she reluctantly placed the box back on her lap. Your grandma makes it for you? Her dejected expression caught me off guard, and I ended up asking without thinking. Yes. She makes hers and mine at the same time. Ah, Sean, you're finally talking to me. She seemed genuinely happy that I spoke up. I didn't mean anything by it. Come on, let's chat more. We're co-workers now, it's fate. She laughed brightly. Fiona's smile was peculiar. It had a warmth that made it hard not to smile back. Even if you say that, I don't really have much to say. Then I'll ask the questions. She raised her hand like an eager school kid waiting for the teacher to call on her. Trying to suppress a laugh, I replied curtly. Fine. What do you want to know? Her face lit up at my response, and the barrage of questions began. Okay, first, tell me about headquarters. Do you ever run into Mr. Sullivan? Do celebrities really visit the office? And what kind of work did you do there? Oh, and the city must have tons of trendy places, right? Have you ever gone to any? Her enthusiasm was overwhelming, leaning forward as she asked each question. I figured she'd be satisfied if I indulged her for a bit. I skirted around the details about my work, as I wasn't keen on revisiting those memories. Wow, that's amazing. Working in the city sounds so cool. Do you want to work at headquarters someday? Her starry-eyed expression made her intentions clear, but I asked anyway. Yes. I've always dreamed of working there. That's why I've been working so hard. Is that so? A lot of people here dream of transferring to headquarters, you know. That's why, deep down, they'd probably love to ask you questions. But they don't want to talk to someone like me, right? I couldn't stop myself from blurting it out. That's not true. It's just that everyone's hung up on that rumor. Rumor? It was the first I'd heard of it. When I asked, Fiona hesitated, then answered cautiously. Well, before you were assigned here, an email circulated saying, the guy coming from headquarters, Sean, got sent here because of a harassment scandal. Be careful around him. Her words made everything click into place. Of course, no one would want to engage with someone labeled as a harasser. The whispers on my first day, the distance everyone kept, it all made sense now. David told everyone not to take the email seriously, but it still shook people up. But I don't believe for a second that you're that kind of person. Sean, what makes you so sure? The words came out colder than I intended. As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Sorry. There's no point in me saying that to you. No. I'm sorry too. Silence hung heavy between us. As the tension became unbearable, and I started to stand, Fiona suddenly blurted out an unexpected suggestion. I know. Let's throw a welcome party for you, Sean. If everyone gets to know you, I'm sure they'll understand. Wait, no, that's not really. There's no time like the present. I'll talk to David about it. Look forward to it. Ignoring my protests, she quickly packed up her lunch and left the rooftop before I could stop her. Her pushy energy was a bit much, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel grateful that she was willing to talk to me despite the rumors. It wasn't hard to see why everyone liked her. Reflecting on those few minutes, I found myself smiling as I finished the rest of my sandwich. David was on board with Fiona's idea immediately, and a welcome party for me was arranged. The workplace camaraderie seemed strong, and everyone appeared to be enjoying themselves. Thanks to the relaxed atmosphere and a bit of alcohol, I managed to connect with my coworkers a little. From across the room, I noticed Fiona watching me as I laughed and conversed with everyone. She caught my gaze, gave me a thumbs up, and smiled brightly. The party ended on a cheerful note, and we all began heading home. Since Fiona and I lived in the same direction, we walked part way together. Tonight was fun, wasn't it? Fiona's voice was lighter than usual, probably from the drinks. Yeah. It's been a while since I enjoyed myself like that. Great. It was your welcome party, after all. I'd feel bad if you didn't have fun after I planned it. It was still puzzling why Fiona cared so much about me, but I was genuinely grateful for her efforts to help me break the ice with everyone. Hey, Sean. Can I ask you something? Sure, as long as it's something I can answer. The drinks and the night's positive energy made me lower my guard. Why did you transfer from headquarters? Was there a specific reason? The memories of that day came flooding back. I was demoted. The official reason was harassment. I didn't do it, though. My project was stolen, and then I was framed. By someone I thought I loved. I told her the truth. Fiona's face twisted with disbelief. That's awful. How could someone do that to you? I never imagined it would happen to me. What about that girlfriend? What's she doing now? That day revealed Natalie's true nature. 2 years of my life wasted, blinded by love. The thought of my own foolishness made me laugh bitterly. Who knows? Probably thriving at headquarters. Not that I care anymore. I dismissed it with a bitter tone and quickened my pace. The anger I thought I'd buried began to rise again as I revisited those memories. Aren't you frustrated? Her question stopped me in my tracks, releasing a flood of pent-up emotion. Frustrated? Of course, I am. I lost everything, my career, my hard-earned project, and someone I was ready to marry. All of it? Gone in an instant. Then why didn't you fight harder? Was your determination, your passion, so weak that it could be snuffed out that easily? Do you think I didn't fight? I tried. But by the time I realized it, they had already surrounded me, leaving me no choice. What do you know about it? Sitting comfortably in this rural branch, don't act like you understand me. The words erupted from me, fueled by anger and frustration. And then I noticed her. Fiona stood there, trembling, her shoulders shaking. "You're right. I overstepped. I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely audible, before running past me. As she passed, I saw tears streaming down her face. "Fiona." My hand reached out to stop her, but it grasped only air. Even though I was the one who chose to share the painful parts of my past, I lashed out at her with cruel words. Almost like I was taking out my frustrations. The person I should have been angry at was myself, not her. As I stared in the direction Fiona had walked away, a deep sense of self-loathing engulfed me. The next day, I searched for Fiona, wanting to apologize. But whenever I tried to approach her, she avoided me. Seeing this, our co-workers began to notice something was wrong. I found myself isolated at work once again. Unlike before, though, no one even tried to come near me. It was only in this situation that I finally realized how much Fiona had been bridging the gap between me and everyone else. She must have been helping me in countless ways. Thanks to her, I had been able to work without any major issues here. Disgusted with my own shortcomings, I waited until after work, scanning the crowd of people leaving the office for Fiona. "Fiona!" Startled by my voice, she turned. I pleaded with her to come with me to a nearby park, and she reluctantly agreed. "Sean, what's this about?" She wouldn't even look me in the eye. And that was only natural. After all, I had said such hurtful things to someone who had been so considerate of me. "I'm sorry about the other day. I said terrible things to you because I let my emotions take over." "You don't have to forgive me. I wouldn't expect you to, but please, let me apologize. I truly regret what I said." Even this apology might seem selfish, I thought. But this time, I wanted to face Fiona honestly. "You were so kind to me when I had just transferred here, but I lashed out and hurt you. Fiona, you saved me when I was in such a dark place. And I threw that kindness back in your face. I had thought I didn't care about anything anymore, but I found myself looking forward to you talking to me every day. I had been happy to chat with everyone at the welcome party, something I didn't think I'd enjoy. And yet, I allowed myself to get trapped in my past wounds and shut myself off again. I pushed away the hand that was reaching out to me. How foolish I was. How weak I was. "Sean, look at me." When I raised my head, Fiona was smiling. I was thoughtless too. "I pushed my own feelings onto you when you were going through something so painful. I'm sorry as well." She bowed her head. "Fiona, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one at fault." "No, it's on me." "No, it's my fault." As we kept apologizing back and forth, we both suddenly started laughing. This could go on forever at this rate. "Yeah, you're right. Then let's call it a draw and end the apology battle here." After laughing together for a while, we sat down on a nearby bench. Both of us looked like a weight had been lifted off our shoulders. "Fiona, why do you dream of moving to the city or working at headquarters? Is there something specific you want to do?" I remembered our conversation on the rooftop and decided to ask. "There's someone who helped me when I was struggling a long time ago. That person worked in the city and was so inspiring to me. I've always wanted to become the kind of woman who would be a good match for that person if we ever met again." She smiled shyly, saying it was a silly reason, but her eyes revealed how deeply serious she was about it. "I see. But honestly, Fiona, I think you're already someone who would match him perfectly." The words slipped out before I could stop myself. "What? What are you saying? Flattering me won't get you anything, you know. I'm not expecting anything in return." Since Fiona admires this person, he must truly be someone remarkable. "If it's you, Fiona, I'm sure you'll meet that person again someday. I'll do whatever I can to support you, even if it's just a small effort. If it's someone I know, I'd gladly help out too. Thank you, Sean." Just hearing that from you is more than enough. She smiled warmly as she said this. Fiona's smile really is something special. It's the kind of smile that makes you want to smile along with her. Sean, don't you want to go back to headquarters? She asked hesitantly, but her question stirred up memories of many things. The mentors who patiently guided me, the co-workers who supported me when I felt like giving up. The clients who celebrated with me when we created an amazing product. And even the kind strangers I met on business trips who offered me words of encouragement. I realized I still hadn't repaid any of them. Yeah, there's still so much I need to do. I'll give it my best. You absolutely should. I know you can do it, Sean. Let's show all those who doubted you what you're capable of. We nodded to each other with determination. From that day on, I made an effort to communicate more actively with my coworkers and focused intently on my work. Whenever I went out on sales calls with Fiona, I pushed myself even harder. If her reputation improved even a little, I knew it would bring her closer to her dream. Could it be because my mindset has changed? Little by little, I've started to see results. At a well-known local confectionery shop, I drew on past experience to engage the owner in a lively discussion about traditional sweets, eventually earning their attention. Another time, we visited a hidden gem of a European-style restaurant based on Fiona's lead, and by coincidence, the owner turned out to be a former classmate of a senior I greatly respected. I kept visiting the seafood company, which was reputed to have a difficult-to-please president, even after being turned down multiple times. Eventually, it became a bit of a rumor in the area when the president said, "I've never seen a company as persistent as yours." Not all of these efforts led to contracts, and luck played a role too. But we managed to establish many meaningful connections that showed promise for the future. And I owe it all to Fiona. Despite the challenges, she shone brightly and seemed genuinely happy at work. 6 months after transferring to the branch, David summoned me. A pile of sales reports sat on his desk. With a gentle smile, he spoke. "You've been working really hard lately, haven't you? Thank you. I hear you're interested in returning to headquarters. With these results, I think we can make that happen." His words made me happy, but something didn't sit right with me. Most of the contracts we'd secured had been from places I visited with Fiona. Yet here I was, being singled out, while she wasn't even mentioned. What about Fiona? Fiona? She's been doing well too, but lately, her efforts haven't translated into results. Why? Would you prefer to go to headquarters with her? David's smile widened knowingly as he posed the question. I couldn't find the right words to respond, but David didn't wait for an answer. That's all I wanted to tell you for now. I'll pass the word along to headquarters, and hopefully, you'll get a good response. Keep up the good work. Sean. Thank you very much, sir. After bowing deeply, I left David's office and looked around the department. Fiona wasn't there. I waited for the break and went to look for her. She was on the rooftop. She was gazing at the cityscape and the vast expanse of nature stretching out below. Fiona. She turned around slowly when I called her name. Sean. Great work today. She greeted me with her usual smile. But I couldn't bring myself to smile back. The sales reports for the places we visited together, why didn't you include your name on them? The reports on David's desk. They only had my name on them. I hadn't been able to check every report, but considering I was the only one David had called in, the answer was clear. I asked my question, and Fiona responded with her usual smile. I wanted you to return to headquarters, Sean. What? But Fiona, you also wanted to. That's right. She had said she admired the city and wished for a transfer to headquarters. My situation doesn't matter. What's more important is you going back to headquarters and proving yourself. I want you to find happiness, Sean. She looked at me with a determined gaze and continued. Do you remember the person I told you I admired? that person is you. What? Back in high school, I was out with my grandmother when she suddenly collapsed. A passerby rushed us to the hospital. That person was you, Sean. Memories from long ago resurfaced. During my early days as a new hire, I had accompanied a senior on a business trip to this region. One day, while visiting clients on my own, I noticed someone collapsed on the roadside and stopped to help. I rushed them to the hospital, and their life was saved. A few days later, the company received a call from their family to express their gratitude. I never imagined that the girl with them back then was Fiona. At the time, I was so flustered that I couldn't do anything. But you stayed by my side, talking to me and keeping me calm until my parents arrived. With a tender expression, she clasped her hands near her chest. I was so thankful, not just for saving my grandmother but for easing my worries by staying with me. I wanted to thank you in person. My parents told me where you worked, so I worked hard to join the same company. But I didn't know you were from headquarters and ended up at the branch office instead. She laughed shyly and scratched her cheek. So that's how it was. I'm sorry I didn't realize sooner. It's been 5 years. It's understandable that you wouldn't remember. Still, Fiona had recognized me right away. Sean, thank you so much for helping my grandmother and me back then. Saying that, she bowed deeply. Feeling embarrassed, I become completely flustered. No, I didn't really do anything. You haven't changed, Sean. You were just as humble when my parents called to thank you. We said we'd been lucky to meet such a kind person. That's why I believed in you. She looked at me with unwavering sincerity. I knew the accusations in that email had to be some kind of mistake. The Sean who helped us would never do anything so cruel as to hurt someone. She had believed in me all this time. I'm the one who should be thanking you. You helped me face my job again. I can't thank you enough, Fiona. Truly, thank you. I'm so glad. It means everything to me to have been able to help you. These past 6 months working with you have been the happiest time of my life. So, her voice broke as tears welled in her eyes. So, Sean, you have to go back to headquarters. Everyone at the branch will be cheering for you. She smiled brightly even as tears streamed down her cheeks. Fiona. It was when I was walking up to Fiona. Suddenly, David came rushing over, looking flustered. Sean. Sorry to rush you, but you need to head to headquarters immediately. It's a direct order. Fiona and I exchanged surprised glances. I used the bullet train and a taxi, arriving at headquarters hours later. Though it was late at night, the building was still lit. When I gave my name at the reception desk, I was escorted straight upstairs. To my shock, I was taken to the president's office. Mr. Sullivan, Sean has arrived. Good. Let him in. Sophia, the president's secretary, gestured for me to enter. Inside, I found Mr. Sullivan, Jason, and Natalie waiting for me. Sean here. Excuse me. We've been waiting for you, Sean. I apologize for the sudden summons. No, it's fine, but what exactly is this about? Confused by the situation, I couldn't help but ask. A certain project has been halted midway, putting our company at risk of a significant loss. That project, could it be? I glanced at Natalie, but she remained silent, her head bowed. The project involved a key collaborator, a farmer named Henry, who approached the company and declared, I can't work with Natalie as the representative. This isn't what we agreed upon. I spoke to both Jason and Natalie, and during those discussions, we uncovered something astonishing. That's why we called you here, Sean. Pausing, Mr. Sullivan cast a sharp glance at Jason and Natalie. Jason shrank slightly under the weight of that gaze. I want you to answer my questions truthfully. Can you do that? Yes, I understand. I nodded, steeling myself against the heavy atmosphere. Is it true that this project, including securing Henry's cooperation and the plan to revive traditional vegetables, was originally your idea? Did you personally negotiate with him to secure his agreement? Yes, that's true. I spent over 6 months visiting Henry, negotiating directly, and securing his consent. I also wrote the development proposal for the lunchbox based on our discussions. One by one, I answered his questions accurately. The project was mine. Even after being transferred for 6 months, there was no way I could forget its contents. Thank you. It seems everything you've said is indeed true. After confirming the facts, Mr. Sullivan let out a deep sigh and turned a stern gaze toward Jason and Natalie. Mr. Sullivan, please, there's an explanation for this. Despite the situation, Natalie began pleading. It was Jason who told me to steal Sean's project. I didn't want to, but he said it was an order from the department head, and I had no choice. What? I never said such a thing. If anything, you brought the idea to me first. That's why I issued Sean's transfer order. Just as a terrible blame game was about to begin, the booming voice of Mr. Sullivan echoed, "Enough of this nonsense. It's disgraceful." Everyone present froze in place under the weight of his authority. I will hear more from both of you later. For now, I don't want to see your faces. Leave. He dismissed them coldly. Sophia, the secretary, ushered them out. Neither Jason nor Natalie resisted. Sean, I am truly sorry. This situation is entirely my failure. I must ask you a favor. Would you take charge of this project again? You'll need to start by apologizing to Henry and our other partners, but if this project fails, our company's reputation will suffer greatly. Please. I'm begging you. Mr. Sullivan bowed deeply, leaving me flustered. Mr. Sullivan. Please raise your head. I'm grateful for the chance to take this on again. Please, let me handle it. Thank you. As an apology, the company will give you full backing. In return, you must ensure its success. With that, I returned to headquarters and dedicated myself to making the project a success. I visited each stakeholder to apologize and reached out to Henry personally with heartfelt apologies. Initially, he refused to see me, turning me away at the door. But after persistent visits, he finally relented, saying, "That persistence of yours is something, Sean." With a reluctant smile, he accepted my apology. From there, progress was swift. True to Mr. Sullivan's word, the entire company rallied around the project. Together, we developed an outstanding product. Our sales strategy was a success, and the product became the best-selling item we had ever launched. It garnered media attention, and our team was honored with the prestigious President's Award for Outstanding Achievement. I was officially reassigned to headquarters. Further investigation revealed that Jason and Natalie had been in a relationship and were behind the plot to steal the project, issue my transfer, and cover up their actions. As a result, Jason was demoted and transferred to a harsh regional branch, while Natalie was dismissed for misconduct. Months have passed since then. Today, I walk to work with a spring in my step. Sean. I was almost at the office when someone called out to me. That voice was Natalie. My ex-girlfriend, the one who set me up. There she was, standing right before me. For a moment, she hesitated, seemingly intimidated by the hardness in my expression, but then she ran toward me. I realized how important you are to me after we were apart. So, let's start over? Sean, you said you'd always love me, didn't you? I only love you now, so please. She hadn't even apologized for what she did back then. And yet, here she was, shamelessly asking to get back together. It was beyond selfish. I can't move past what happened, and more than that, I can't trust you. Don't come near me again. What? We were a perfect match, two talented people. We could be even better together now. Natalie continued to cling desperately, but I cut her off with a firmer tone. Enough. I can't be with someone who can't reflect on their actions or apologize for them. And besides, I already have someone important in my life. What? Someone else. She stood frozen, clearly shaken by my last words. This is the last time. If you continue to cause trouble, I'll report you to the police. With that, I left her standing there and walked away. Thankfully, she didn't follow me. As I approached the company entrance, I noticed a woman standing there. I waved to her. Noticing me, she beamed with a radiant smile, waved back, and ran over to me. Sean. It's been so long. Fiona. Congratulations. Thank you. It's all thanks to you. You recommended me for the transfer to headquarters, didn't you? That's right. While working tirelessly to ensure the success of the project, I made it a point to highlight how much of our branch's achievements were thanks to Fiona. I passionately advocated for her transfer to headquarters. And today, she was officially starting her new position here. It's your hard work that made this happen. Everyone at the branch kept saying, "Take good care of Fiona for us." They're so embarrassing. I'm an adult now, but they still treat me like a child. She looked slightly pouty, but she probably understood how everyone felt. Her happiness was still evident from her expression. You're heading to make your introductions now, right? You'll do great here, Fiona, I'm sure of it. I gave her a playful pat on the head. Sean. Don't treat me like a child too. Her face flushed red as she protested, and I couldn't help but laugh at how adorable she looked. I'm glad you're finally getting to work at the company you admire. When I said that, Fiona shook her head. What makes me happy is that you're here, Sean. She looked straight into my eyes with unwavering sincerity. For me, it's not about where I work but who I'm with. As long as I'm with you, it doesn't matter where I am, it's the best place for me. Her words hit me straight in the heart. It was true. When I was transferred to the branch and at my lowest, she was the one who pulled me out of it. The days we spent working together were the brightest moments of my life. I feel the same way. Being with you makes everything more fun and fulfilling, I said, pulling her into a hug. I didn't care that others on their way to work were watching. Though we were in different departments, I was thrilled to be able to work alongside Fiona again here. With her by my side, I knew I could face any challenge. Feeling the warmth of her embrace, I silently vowed to always be the person she could rely on.